Then you say, okay, yeah, we really do have 8,000 metric tons of gold here, and we're carrying at $42 an ounce. We're going to instead market it, well, not to market, that would make that gold worth about 750 billion. Let's call it 10 grand. Now, all of a sudden, the asset side of the balance sheet has 2 trillion. That's an extra $2 trillion worth. It seems to be, when they're talking about monetizing the asset side of the balance sheet, that's the most obvious thing that you could do. Whether you peg the gold to $2,900 market to market, or 10,000 or 30,000 or whatever, I would think that'd have a positive impact on the actual gold price, but I don't know what it would be because we've never seen it done before.
If the U.S. revalues its 8,000 metric tons of gold from $42 per ounce to a higher price, such as $10,000, it would significantly increase the asset side of the balance sheet, potentially adding $2 trillion in value. Pegging gold at $2,900, $10,000, or even $30,000 could positively impact its market price, but the exact effect remains uncertain since such a move has never been done before. Recent news shows gold prices have reached unprecedented levels, with spot gold hitting a record high of $3,045.24 per ounce. CraigHemke, a seasoned analyst and founder of the TF Metals Report, highlights concerns that gold supplies may be running low as delays in delivery from London have stretched from a few days to 4 to 8 weeks. Central banks have accumulated around 3,200 metric tons over the past 3 years, possibly depleting available reserves. If true, this could have significant implications for the gold market. Additionally, while some suggest monetizing gold by revaluing it on the balance sheet, it's unclear how this would impact prices. The London Bullion Market Association, LBMA, claims to hold 8,300 metric tons, but a significant portion belongs to the Bank of England, raising questions about availability. Craig reveals growing concerns about the actual availability of physical gold. A significant portion of gold held in London is tied up in ETFs like GLD, meaning it isn't for sale. Analyst Ronan Manley estimated years ago that only 700 to 800 metric tons were genuinely available, raising questions about the current supply. Historical cases, like Germany's lengthy wait to repatriate its gold, further highlight potential supply constraints. The entire fractional reserve pricing system could be challenged if gold reserves are stretched too thin. Let's dive into the video for more insights. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.
I mean, they carry it now at $42.22. That doesn't mean gold's trading at $42.22. It's trading at $2,900.
Yeah.
So if they carried it, at $10,000, what does that mean? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it could be the biggest disappointment of all time. Gold goes down, gold opens up the next day down $50. Would that surprise anybody? So we'll see. It will be interesting to see how it works out. I have thought, it dawned on me in the middle of January. I was in the middle of recording a podcast for my site with Andrew McGuire, and I was asking him about all this gold that was, the spread that had opened up, spot versus futures, and why that would be, why nobody was arbitraging it, and the lack of confidence in executing that trade was why that had widened out so much. And we're starting to see these deliveries surging in New York and all this kind of stuff. And it dawned on me, I thought, they're using the tariffs as a cover for all this. I thought, what if they're just out of gold, Tom? The article came out from the Financial Times that really kind of lit a fire back in early February that said that you got a 4 to 8 week delay to take delivery in London. Not 2 to 3 days or 4 to 8 days, 4 to 8 weeks. And I've yet to see where, now it's back to, 4 days. Well, 4 to 8 weeks to just simply move some gold out of here, across the line or onto a truck or something. It's starting to make me think, well, maybe they're out. Maybe 31 or 3,200 metric tons of net central bank demand over the last 3 years. Well, what does that do to everything then? I mean, that's a more tangible thing than just this monetizing the asset side of the balance sheet thing. The LBMA will come out and say, the global gold market is underpinned by our whatever it is, 8,300 metric tons of gold that we have in our vaults. Another big, 3,000 some odd metric tons is the gold for the big ETFs like the GLD that's custodian there. That shouldn't be for sale. Okay, so what's left over? Ronan Manley did a thing, said it's only about 700 or 800 metric tons, and that was like 5 or 6 years ago. what happens to this whole kind of fractional reserve pricing scheme if the leverage is getting so stretched that the LBMA can't deliver gold in less than 2 months? Again, very interesting times that we live in, Tom.
CraigHemke, in an interview with Tom Bordovitz at Palisades Gold Ratio, exposes rising borrowing rates for gold, silver, and ETFs, like GLD and PSLV, suggesting increasing market stress. Large-scale borrowing of shares for redemption indicates a tightening physical supply. March's COMEX silver deliveries are unusually high, potentially reaching 90 million ounces, equivalent to the entire registered category. While tariffs could explain some disruptions, the silver market operates on a similar leverage system as gold, possibly even more extreme. The gold-silver ratio at 90-1 suggests an abundance of silver derivatives relative to physical supply. If stress continues, both markets could face significant pressure. Now, let's recall the interview.
Now, all of a sudden, they're not bringing metal. They can't get metal from New York to London to physically settle that arbitrage. And remember, and the spread spiked to $100, and there are all these stories about, oh, yeah, they can't fly gold, because there's no pilots because of COVID. And all of a sudden, the CME has to start a whole brand new contract that's deliverable in fractional ownership of London bars. All this, the June gold deliveries in 2020 were like 60,000 contracts. It was an all-time high. Price continued higher into August of that year, and then went sideways for 3 years. 1,000 tons or whatever from New York or from London into New York, and the volume in February went to 75,000 deliveries onto COMEX, new all-time high. Sound familiar? At the end of the day, maybe it just is what it is. And it'll all just sort itself out and go back to normal, and nothing will have ever happened. But I do believe in this fractional reserve system. I do believe that's how the system operates. You determine the price through the trading of all these forward contracts and futures contracts and all these other derivatives, and then metal flows in London at that price. You got to deliver some metal at that price. Well, when all of a sudden they don't have the metal to deliver, and it takes 4 to 8 weeks, that's a problem. That would seem to be a sign that maybe there's more to it than just simply, that's the system is fixing itself like it did in 2020. I suspect we'll know soon enough. As you look at the goings on, the rate to borrow gold in London spiked, and the rate to borrow silver in London has spiked. Mm-hmm. The rate to borrow GLD shares spiked. So we're on track to deliver, I always say, on COMEX. So are there signs that silver is kind of playing along the same way that gold is? Yeah. Could you also say there are signs that, if we're really just worried about tariffs, the silver pricing scheme is just the same as gold? I could say maybe it's even worse. And that's what the gold-silver ratio is telling you at 90-1, that there's way more silver derivatives than there are gold derivatives. And maybe that's why, that ratio reflects that. Topic for another day, I suppose. But if there is stress, if indeed this is some kind of physical stress that is not yet forcing a deleverage of the system, but really stretching the leverage, then it's going to impact silver the same as it will gold.
The gold and silver markets are facing increasing stress due to potential shortages in physical supply, rising borrowing rates, and widening delivery delays. If these structural issues persist, they could challenge the current fractional reserve pricing system and lead to significant price shifts. Whether revaluation, central bank accumulation, or delivery constraints drive the next important move, the implications for precious metals remain uncertain but critical to watch. How would a U.S. gold revaluation impact global confidence in fiat currencies? Could ongoing physical shortages eventually force a shift away from the current paper-based pricing system? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you found this helpful video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Thanks for being a part of our journey.